In this video, we're going to go over two new elements, lines and polylines. After we've already gone over shapes, these are pretty simple. They look a little different though, so you might need to refer to this a couple times as you're still getting used to it. After doing this, polygons will be pretty easy because they're set up pretty similar to polylines. So most people are familiar with the term line already, right? It's just 2 points connected. Polylines, maybe you're not as familiar with. It's essentially a line that goes through multiple points. So below here you have a polyline in pink. So it has all of these different points that this line is connecting to. It's not a straight line. So we'll go over the line first, basic elements, attributes, and then we'll do the same thing with polylines. So this is what the line element looks like. It's pretty simple. The element itself is just line in 2 angle brackets, and then you've got the attributes. The attributes that a line has are x and y's, as well as stroke and stroke width. The x and y's are not quite set up the way that I would do it, but it's simple enough. So let's give it a shot. Just going to open a plain text editor, and I'm going to wrap this inside of a simple HTML page. Then I need to specify my SVG's height and width, so I'm just going to do a 500 by 500 square. And then I can actually make the line element. So we do line, and then we need an x1 and a y1, and we need an x2 and a y2, and a stroke width, and of course close the tag. So the x1 and the y1 are the starting points of the line, or the ending points, depending on how you want to look at it. So let's do maybe 100 by 200, and then of course the other end of the line. So maybe I do 250 by 350. And for the stroke we choose a color, so maybe I want to use cadet blue, and then the stroke width. And I can save it, and lines.html, it's .html because I have it wrapped in an HTML file, which makes this SVG opening tag simpler. I don't have to do some of the declarations and stuff that I'd have to do otherwise. So here's my line document. If I open it in Safari, we can see our line. Here it is. Now if I don't specify the stroke and the stroke width, what happens? If I save and refresh, no line. If I don't specify the color, but I keep the width, and I refresh, still no line. So with shapes, if you didn't specify a color, it made the shape black. With the line, it doesn't. Now, keep in mind when we did the shapes, that default color was for the fill of the shape, not for the stroke of it. And with the lines, there is no fill. It's just a stroke. So you can think of it that way if it helps. So we'll put that back. Alright, so polylines. Polylines aren't very complex either, but they're not set up exactly the same. The basic element follows the same pattern, polyline in angle brackets, but the attributes are a little different. We don't use a series of x and y's the same way we did the line. Instead, we just have one attribute that has a whole bunch of arguments inside of it. And then we still have stroke and stroke width, but we can also add a fill as well. So for a polyline, we write polyline. We're going to have points, and we'll need stroke and stroke width, and then I'll add the fill after. So points work a little differently. You're still using x and y, but you're not defining them in the same way. You're not going to have a whole bunch of these like this. You're just going to have them all inside of one attribute. So if we want to do something similar, so I'm going to put this maybe just a little below. So we'll keep it at 100, but then maybe this is at 210. And then for the next point, we separate it with the space. So then maybe this goes to 250 like before, but this is at 360, so it's just below. And I can add in some more points, so maybe I have it go up to 300, and then maybe I have it move over, so 300 by 300, and I could have it move down, so maybe this goes back down to 360 like before, And we could have it move right, so 350 by 360. And we could have it move back up. And you can put in as many points as you want. Alright, we do need a stroke color. So we'll go with yellow-green. And a stroke width. Alright, and if I open this with Safari, alright, we've got a little bit of weirdness going on. So just like with shapes, how the default color of the fill is black, it gave us a default fill color as well. If we don't want a fill at all, instead of giving it a color, we can just tell it none. And now if I refresh, there we go. Now you can create all sorts of weird zigzags like I had in the slides, or you can actually use this to create graphs or stair steps as well. And if I actually want a fill color that's not black, I can of course just choose a color. Now this fill is going to connect from the starting point to the ending point in whatever route is closest. So if I instead wrap this polyline around, then it will then connect in a different route. So let's add one more point. So maybe 200 by 400. I'll save and refresh. And now it connects from here to here because that's the closest path from the starting point to the ending point. So there you go. That's lines and polylines.